litigation out there. You can read a lot of litigation online as far as case studies and things. Generally, where you get into an issue is excessive force. They use it again and discard it. Well, actually, pull the trigger. It's still hooked up, but it's been used improperly. In other words, the suspect was not trying to get away, was not threatening an officer, etc. So if you train properly, they're used properly, I think they're a heck of a tool. Are you going to get litigation over it? I'm going to say yes. You are going to end up with some lawsuits. Any department that carries the taser is going to have some lawsuits, strictly from the taser use. Now, what most of them are going to bring forth is they're going to try to make a case on excessive force. That's what they're going to try to do.
That's what we saw.
And you know, it may not fly. Now, certain circumstances, I have read case law where, yes, it did because the officer shouldn't have used it the second time or the third time, the fourth time, whatever. And, you know, the awards can be extensive. So, from a counsel standpoint, you just have to be willing to accept that litigation is most likely going to happen if tasers are reported. It may not happen with the first 10 or 5. It may be later, but it's going to come forth. And that's just, you need to look at the whole picture. Are you willing to accept that?
This is something new. I mean, this is something that's being put in front of y'all that, you know, we have not had in the past. We're not trying to keep it, we're trying to get it. The same discussion that was had 20 years ago with OC spray, you know, 15 years ago with Asketon. This is another tool that's come up that's proven to be more effective, reduce injuries, and all of these things have had litigation before. We just don't want y'all to have the opinion that we're trying to sell you on something that is perfect. With training and experience and discipline, these can be utilized in a fashion that is just as well as our sidearm, a deadly weapon. We don't want you to expect, okay, we're asking for these and nothing, you're never going to hear from them again. If they're deployed with any type of weapon, you know, deadly force, intermediate weapons, or whatever, there's always that risk. These are the latest and the greatest. You hear all tasers are wonderful, tasers are the newest and greatest. We just don't want you to have an undue expectation that there's never going to be any rebuttal against that. So.
In the area, excuse me, just a second, in the area of deadly force, y'all do not train use taser instead of deadly force. If you got a deadly force issue, you don't say use that taser.
No, sir.
Okay.
Taser is not a...
Because in my opinion, a true deadly force issue, and that officer resorts to that taser, his life or somebody else's is in danger at that point.
Yes, sir. The taser is not a replacement for deadly force. If we have multiple officers on the scene, you know, a suicidal person with a knife or whatnot, we could, you know, actually have the taser deployed along with the firearms to try to prevent a suicide. So, but yeah, you're correct when you say that. If it's, you know, one-on-one confrontation, the taser shouldn't come out, should be deadly force. So.
Is it standard practice to have medics called in if tasers used?
Yes, sir. Our policy says that we have medics called each deployment. The medics of the Lake Cities will not remove the probes. They'll actually transport the medic to the medical facility, or will they in there, or probe removal. In their general orders, they don't allow any type of probes to be removed. Which in the past we did it ourselves. It's a simple removal, but we choose not to do that, so they're shipped to DRC. What I can tell you is, if you decide to go the route of the taser, you know, the best thing to do, like Chief said, is have a good policy behind it, good training. I'm not an advocate for it, I do it myself, I'm just saying if it does, if your choice comes down to it, it's going to be the policy and your training that's going to keep you safe and hopefully keep you out of litigation in the future.
So Corinth has had them since 05?
Since 05, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any approximation of how many times they've been used?
Without counting, I'm guessing, we have about 3 or 4 a year, so we're looking at 25, 30 range.
Lots of
We usually don't have
success.
more than, I think last year we had one, so not terribly overused at all. We have officers, they go hands-on, and they take care of business without the paper coming out. So,
Good discussion. Thank you very much for coming over and
As long as our officers are here, I just wanted to tell every one of you how much we appreciate all of you and the safety that you provide in our neighborhoods and on our highways. And thank you for being the first responders that you are. Appreciate you.
Mr. Mayor, council, thank you very much.
Mayor, I had just brought this up for discussion. I think perhaps we can take some facts and figures on the cost. We can get an update on policy or prepare update on policy and some training requirements and bring it back at a future date for more discussion, perhaps approval.
then a line item's going to come through. As far as the purchase, where's the money going to come from?
Well, let's put that together.
Yeah, so that, that's a big part of it as well. Roger, the chief, I know you and I talked about this 2 or 3 years ago, and I sense that you're not for these at all. Am I correct in saying that?
Do what?
That you're not for these tasers?
Oh, I don't have a problem against tasers. The use here, I don't think you're gonna see that much use. I mean, you got Grant, who's got, how many officers, you have
32 total.
30 something?
Yes, sir.
They've deployed it 20, 25 times in 7, 8 years. You know. I've heard Sergeant Starnes mention to me that he could think of 2 incidents where they deployed it in assistance of our officers. Now, he did not give me a time frame. I was assuming that since he's been here, or they've had them since 2005.
There's been a few more than that, but it's minimal.
So, will they deploy it that much? I don't think so. It is a tool. It's a tool just like OC or anything else that they carry, whether it be a baton, whether it be, flashlight, whatever. It's a tool for law enforcement.
You don't ever think you need it until that time arises when you don't have it.
It is not a replacement for deadly force. It's an additional tool. But I didn't want council to think that this is a tool that cannot contribute to or cause death, bodily injury, and or death. Because even tasers, disclaimer that they put out, comment on that. It's a tool, but I can think of, uses where, that's why I said properly trained. There's accidents within things where they get set off accidentally by officers. I've seen this create litigation. I've seen it create cash payment to not have litigation. I think it's something that you need to look at the whole picture. And, at this point in time, didn't have enough time to gather all of the information, but there is plenty of information on Taser International that you can go to on the internet, read. It's got the disclaimers in there. As early as August of this year, I got an email from Texas Police Chiefs Association where they had been placed a disclaimer on them that it could be considered as a deadly weapon. Created a lot of conflict amongst the chiefs. Some of the chiefs were even talking about not using them at that point in time. But they then contacted Taser Vice President, I think his name's Steve something, I don't remember what his last name was. And he answered no to, is it considered a deadly force weapon? No. His explanation was, if you get in a hot tub and say, there's a disclaimer there. If you're intoxicated or whatever, or heavily on alcohol, you can drown or whatever. So, that's basically the way he was explaining it. understand that this could happen, you know.
Okay, I'd say then for the next council meeting, if you would, Councilman Bree would get together and the council do their own research, we'll discuss, consider and act on it at the next meeting or November meeting. Get everything together and we'll just go from there.
And one question, Lance, do you have any experience with that in other towns or
Just I'm aware
situations?
of one federal lawsuit that occurred as a result of taser use, but the officer was exonerated as property use of it.
So in the town's case, there's legal fees involved there and
Typically, that's something that your liability carrier will pick up on any kind of police excessive force policy.
TML will cover that under your law enforcement liability at no extra charge. Or now, I'm assuming if it's outside and it's shown to be excessive force, then you may have an issue.
Yeah, those are typically picked up by the carrier, those police type issues.
Thank you, officer.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
have a good night, thank you.
Thanks. Any other discussions on this? All right, let's go to item D7. Consider an act on the ordinance adopting the budget for the town of Hickory Creek, Texas for the fiscal period of October 1, 2013 to September 30th, 2014.
We'll need a record vote on this, or
Sorry?
we'll need a record vote on
Yes.
this.
All right, any discussions on this? As always, it's a tight budget. It's balanced. Discussion?
is everything the same, I'm sure, from last week? Numbers and everything? Is that what? Last discussions?
Would like to make a motion? Councilman Kennedy?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve or adopt the budget for the period October 1st, 2013 through September 30th, 2014 as presented.
Okay, Councilman Keyes made a motion, with a second.
I'll second.
Sorry. Councilman Weiser, how do you vote?
Yes. Approve.
Councilman Clark, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Bree, how do you vote? Motion passes. Did you get that, Kristen?
Yes.
He made a motion. All right, moving on to D8, consider an act on the ordinance of Town of Council of Hickory Creek, Texas, accepting the 2013 certified tax roll for the Town of Hickory Creek, approving the 2013 ad valorem tax rate, levying $24,16882 on each $100 in assessed valuation of all taxable property within the corporate limits of the Town of Hickory Creek. So we maintain the same rate as last year.
No, it's lower.
No, it's lower, that's right. Go back. So it went down. Everybody's fine with that?
The same record vote.
So that's a good thing as far as the property owner understands.
It's balanced. It's not up. It's good, the taxes go down again. I think that's good to put on the record.
It'll be the second time in 5 years, Kristen, that we've lowered the property tax. So it's a good way to go. All right, entertain a motion. Councilman Clark.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the ordinance of the Town Council of Town of Hickory Creek, Texas, accepting the 2013 certified tax roll for Town of Hickory Creek, approving the 2013 ad valorem tax rate and levying .416882 on each $100 of assessed valuation of all taxable property within the corporate limits of the town.
Okay, Councilman Weiser, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Kenny, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Clark?
Yes.
Councilman Bree?
Yes.
Okay, item passes. Going on to D9, consider an act on the ordinance amending the town's code of ordinances, chapter 8, offenses and nuisance, article 8.06, section 8.06.003.
This was an ordinance that was brought before council last month by Jeffrey, and it was discussed, and this is just adopting what was discussed last council meeting.
Any changes to it at all, Kristen?
No, sir, it was what was discussed last,
discussion amongst the council? Okay, entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion we approve or consider, approve ordinance amending the town's code of ordinance, chapter 8, offenses and nuisances, article 8.06, noise, section 8.06.003.
Okay, Councilor McKinney's made a motion, we have a second. Second. Councilor Bree seconds, all in favor? Item D10, discussion regarding the Hickory Creek Code of Ordinances, chapter 3, general provisions, article 1.10, park recreation, section 1.10.003, prohibitions 23 and 24. Any discussions on those items? None, entertain a motion?
Well, this is just the discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I guess for the record, I need to state that chapter 3 was listed incorrectly, that it is chapter 1.
That's fine, yeah, it's got the subject matter.
Right, because you said it had the subject matter. This is a discussion of businesses that are performing or providing services out of our parks. With the recent closing of other core parks, we're having several different people approach us and want to provide their services. As you know now, we already have one person that provides services, boats and
James Doolan.
sea-doos and things like that. There was a time when another boat person came over and Mr. Doolin called and said that, that wasn't allowed in the parks, that he had a special use permit. Upon researching, the special use permit that Mr. Doolin had was specifically for the building that he had there that's now no longer there, that is torn down. So in discussions with Lance, what we discussed and discovered is that we need to either have a permit or there needs to be a written agreement or written approval from council for this to happen. And already, since the other core parks have closed, we've had inquiries of 3 additional people, in addition to Mr. Doolin.
In addition, I have fielded several complaints this last year over the way he operates out of the park. You got the picture there, the effort took, he is not utilizing the places that he was supposed to park in. Numerous complaints surfaced over the Labor Day weekend, where he had the dock tied up, where people could not get to the dock stop. And, this, to be honest with you, has been an ongoing problem. I've talked to him a couple, 2 or 3 times about it. He did get where he was doing a little better, but evidently during Labor Day weekend, there was a little conflict down there. Somebody else wanted to do the same thing, I think, out of his heart. Plus, he just has not been one to abide by what he said he would do. And, we've had complaints not only from residents, we've had them from people from Louisville and outside that have used that park and complained about the time that the dock's tied up that they can't get to it.
And we probably need to just talk generally about the ordinance, not about a specific individual unless we actually have that on the agenda. If we need to have that on the agenda, we can address that particular permit, but this is more of a general discussion of the ordinance.
Right, and that's what I was moving forward to, is that I guess council just needs to really decide if this is, the way it is now, the way our ordinance states, Lance, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it is prohibited from anyone to provide services or a business out of the parks. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then there's a separate provision that says you can do it if you have a permit from the council.
Which is what we granted last year or the year before.
Well, it's not, that's the problem we've come up with, and so maybe we need to put this back on with that particular person, that there is not a permit.
You said that was for the building and not for the...
Correct. To my knowledge, I don't think it's been addressed since 2010.
And it might be a matter that doesn't require council council action. If it's an enforcement issue, I can sit down and we can talk about the previous permit that was issued and see what the current status is. So maybe something we need to bring back to council, but I just don't want to talk about a specific individual situation when it's not on the agenda.
Well, I mean, it's apparent that the ordinance is already in place, and I think that's probably what needs to happen. You know, if you could pull that permit and let's look at it next, rest of the week sometime. Let's see.
Do we also need to look at, I mean, if we're gonna allow one business to operate in the parks, then how do we say no to every business that wants to operate in the park? And then because then you get into issues of, you know, are they helping to take care of those parks, you know, or is there usage that they're, you know, whether it's this business or another business, are they, you know, tying up the docks, or are they, or something, you know, wear and tear on the docks that's getting, you know, different from just individuals using it, and is that a cost to the town? I think, to me, it's a little wider issue that we need to look at, is do we want to go back and re-examine the operating of businesses out of our parks?
Well, and I would say the parks would probably bring a recommendation to us after they discussed it.
That's why this is on there. We need to review this, we need to review what we're doing out there.
You guys have a recommendation, or you just want us to just talk about the rules of running a business?
Well, we're not happy with the complaints and the parking of watercraft in parking spots where there's supposed to be empty trailers there, the people that are actually using. I mean, the deal isn't working out as well as I thought, as I think we had planned it would, as far as the hassle maybe.
When does that current permit expire?
It's non-existent.
There is no permit because the building's not there.
But, so, without going into it, that business was here back in January, beginning of the year. So what's your recommendation, Tom?
I think we ought to shut it down unless we can get some kind of reassurances out of him, maybe one more shot if y'all want to be nice about it. I'm a small businessman myself, so I don't want
We
to.
don't need to talk about this individual's business not being on the agenda.
So it just sounds like ordinances need to be enforced as they stand right now.
Correct.
Yes. And that would be code or police.
Correct. And that's why we put it up there. Let's just review our current permitting.
If I'm not mistaken, this has occurred in the past, and I think there's been attempts to enforce that. Apparently, they're not working.
But do we need to have a future discussion about all these new businesses
And
that
that's
want
what,
to?
yes, and that's what want us to, you know, the council to look at this as a big picture of whether we're going to let ABC be there, or who, you know, the way the ordinance states now is it is prohibited unless you have permission. And how are we going to, if we do let businesses, what is going to be that process? Will they come before council? I mean, it's something it's a broader issue.
Okay, so let's put it on the next agenda for October. And then we'll bring up those 2 points and we'll discuss if we want future businesses doing that, number one. And if it's already prohibited, it's not.
Well, with respect, I'm not trying to say to solve this now, but in another month, the season's over. I would really like to see some kind of resolution on whether we're going to allow this out there or not. If you don't feel that we need to do that, then, you know, of course, that's why we brought it to you, because you get paid to make those kind of decisions.
Well, I can just, when we had the other person that came out there, Chris, as code enforcement, based on the way our ordinance is read, she went out there and let them know that no, they could not do their business in the park unless they had permission from council or a permit, which a permit that we don't have on our permit fees. So, and to my knowledge, I can't say that she didn't issue them a citation, she gave them a warning and let them know that, no, this was prohibited. So that's how we handled one situation.
Right, they were going to buy, I mean, anyone who did this would buy a park pass for each of their vehicles, would park their vehicles outside the park, and they would keep their customers there. And their customers would pay the day use fee for that service. Well, the parking outside the park has gone away. There is no spot for any business to park outside the park anymore.
Mayor, if I may, it looks, I mean, from the agenda item, the way it's written, we can't really do anything besides make sure it's enforced the way it's written right now. That's all we can do. So there's really no more
No
discussion.
changes, no, it's just discussion.
We can't do anything because of that. But I think, I wouldn't see any warnings being placed on anybody who's violating our ordinances as we speak going forward. I think that'll help the situation quite a bit, and no warnings, just tickets.
Just let any operating businesses know they're in trouble. Yeah, we don't know what to do because this decision was made by the town council, so we're just expressing our concerns. Thank you for considering it.
And I think this discussion revolved around the end. We're talking about the ordinance. So, any other discussion on this ordinance?
Just one more thing, it comes back next month. I mean, obviously, I'd like parks to consider businesses, non-businesses, how do we do it, how we don't do it, if it needs to change the ordinance and tell us exactly that wording that parks is looking for as far as is there a way to do it? Maybe it's use at one park only, maybe it's not, I don't know, but if it comes back around on our agenda, obviously parks needs to see it first and present it to us again with what you think would work best for the parks. If it's for everybody, if it's for nobody.
Right.
Just your all 2 cents on it would be very valuable.
Moving on, executive session. Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion. Second, Mr. Carr, second. Thank you.